Hello and welcome to the programme. It is Friday the 19th of July. We start this evening with that global IT outage, with effects still being felt around the world and here in Northern Ireland. It began early this morning with cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike saying there was a defect in one of its software updates. It says it's fixing the problem, but disruption continues. The most significant impact here appears to be on our health service, patients having problems getting through to GP surgeries, difficulties around getting prescriptions and booking operating theatres in hospitals. There were delays and cancellations in air travel, which had a knock-on effect locally. And in banking services, card machines haven't been working in some shops and other businesses. We'll hear the very latest on how the health service has been affected in just a moment. But first, Kevin Sharkey has this report.
In the earlier part of today, much of the focus was on air travel. Here at Belfast International Airport, planes were moving, but inside, blank screens revealed signs of developing disruption. And the prospect of delays was evident for some incoming passengers early on.
Our flight was delayed about 40 minutes. They said it was because the baggage check-in was all being done personally and it was all done by hand.
My sister's flying home from Spain this evening and they weren't able to check in online, so they're a little bit concerned if they're going to get back. But they're in Spain, so they can stay another day.
Today, the disruption broadened here, with a particular focus across parts of the health services. The Health and Social Care Trust revealed that hospital services were among those affected, with problems booking patients into operating theatres, accessing staff rosters, capturing digital endoscopy images, and operating radiotherapy services, as well as some primary care services. And in the community, around 2 out of every 3 GP practices were dealing with disruption.
All of the medical records, all of the prescribing records, all of the prescriptions are done through the IT systems. So it will definitely have an impact on those patients. But every practice has a contingency plan as well. So that will be in operation. And patients might just notice a bit of a delay or a difficulty in terms of getting through.
The outage also impacted across many banking services, leaving customers frustrated until the problems were fixed. As businesses and public services slowly recover from the immediate impact of the outage, IT experts around the world are assessing the potential fallout of this failure over the coming days.
Every single machine has to be visited by an IT technician, rebooted and corrected. There's a lot of companies now which rely on third-party software IT management. And of course, all their customers at one time have been affected. So this can take a lot of time to actually recover from.
And some airline passengers could be among those affected in the hours and possibly days ahead. Other than the blank flight information screens here at the international airport this morning, disruption here appeared to be minimal. But airports are warning of more delays and cancellations as the day goes on, because of the impact of the IT outage on other airports around the world. Kevin Sharkey, BBC Newsline.
Well, let's hear a bit more about how the health service has been affected with our health reporter, Aileen Moyna. So, Aileen, a difficult day for the health service and anyone trying to access its services.
Definitely, Catherine. I think this incident shows just how dependent we are on IT services and just how vulnerable some services can be when things fail. So in Kevin's piece there, we heard about the impact on GP services in terms of viewing and updating patient records, prescriptions and test results, etc. But not all GP practices have been affected. So we're sitting here now, it's just gone 6:30 on a Friday evening. GP practices have closed for the weekend. But if you need to access out of hours GP services over the weekend, the Department of Health has said that their services, their systems have not been impacted by this outage. So please continue. If you need help, need a GP out of hours, do seek that service and it won't be impacted. In terms of the hospital appointments, we asked about the impact on services such as endoscopies and radiotherapy services. Were there cancellations? How many people were affected? The Department of Health has said that they're still collating those impacts, so we don't know the true picture of that yet. it may be next week before we hear those. But earlier, Professor Mark Taylor, he's spokesperson for the Northern Ireland Confederation for Health and Social Care. He's also a surgeon. He gave his experience of the impact this IT outage has had or not had on him.
We are in the transformation to an electronic healthcare record system in Northern Ireland. So 2 out of the trusts are currently using Epic or Encompass. And I should say that actually most components of it are actually working. I've just come off my own Epic screen and it is working well. There are clearly some areas where there have been difficulties.
So what else have you been hearing from the Department of Health? What's their advice to patients?
They say patient care still remains priority and that all health and social care organisations will continue to deliver services to patients as best as possible while this continues. This isn't ideal, but contingencies are in place within health and social care. And one thing we do know, if you need emergency care, those services will be provided. If this runs into next week and you have an appointment due, do continue as you would, as per normal, and don't not attend unless you're advised not to by a hospital or a GP. And of course, if anything on that or guidance or things change over the weekend, BBC News NI services will keep everyone up to date as far as possible.
We will indeed. Good advice. Aileen, thank you. Now moving on to some of the day's other news now, and the